Well, it seems like the powers that be, represented by the major media, is trying to keep us like a mushroom in the dark, feeding us psychedelic nonsense and through their major media airwaves. You know, such examples will be like Hillary Clinton won the debate. Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I don't know who the hell's writing these stories, but, well, we do have the names, but I don't know who's instructing them to write these stories. But it's just like what we see in the financial news. To give you some more information that is reality beyond the mushroom psychedelic false news of the major media, I'll tell you a couple more things to just unravel the labyrinth of stuff that it's actually, they're trying to constrict the information that is actually true, that is supposed to be going to us through the major media, but it's not. So we got people like me telling you the truth. One thing they're actually talking about, I know you heard about it before, about negative interest rates in Europe, but now they're talking about negative interest rates for common people's regular savings accounts. Why? Because the economy is still sluggish. So they're trying to get you to, that's really trying to get you to stimulate the economy, to stimulate you to freaking spend, because if you leave it in the bank, you're going to lose money. Wow. Talk about freaking ludicrous. So why would you even use the bank? Why not just use paper money? You know, that actually gives impetus to go back to real goods, to go back to a time when things were real versus electronic, to a time when maybe silver was used as money. Don't let them fool you, because, you know, the way to really break them is to just go back and go old school. That's just been one of my things I've been talking about for a long time. You know, the situation has never changed. As a matter of fact, if you look back in the 20s, actually the 20s makes a lot more sense, the way they were projecting more and more prosperity every year because of mechanization, because things came online that had never been around in mankind, machinery. The automobile, the transportation of goods, the assembly line method, better materials to make goods out of. And actually it was reflected in all the new styles and the new inventions of cars and motorcycles. But, you know, at that time it made a lot more sense, but still we had the Great Depression. I think we're going into the greatest depression because actually what we have over the last several years is a paper economy. The people that are on the top are making most of the money. The people that have the most money in certain areas of the stock market have been doing well. Now, you saw the stock market rolling over in the last couple months, and then it's taken a little bit of a, you know, it's been jumping up a little bit recently, but, you know, that's not reality. They're really just smoking basically garbage. You're basically blowing smoke in our face when they're doing that. It's the Federal Reserve has actually been controlling the stock markets and propping them up for a long time. I don't think they're going to be able to all the time now because there's nobody here to bail out the Federal Reserve. We look at our $18+ trillion national debt and also our trade deficit. It's not going to continue that way forever. You know, the problem is actually people do have a lot of capabilities, but they do not think they can do it. The problem is that a lot of people look at a mountain and they don't realize the way to get that mountain on their side is to whittle away at it one step at a time, and they don't roll up their sleeves. Rather, they kind of say, oh, to hell with it, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. That's the problem, actually. So you got to roll up your sleeves and get the freaking job done, and that's really what it's always been about. But, you know, the other thing is we have this is another time in history where we're having profit margins rolling over, too. And pretty much every single time in the past when there was a net profit margin ratio to the S&P 500 that rolled over, that was a precursor for a recession. And there's been exceptions to that time, but pretty much that's always been the case. And what we have right now is there's a net profit rollover, net profit margin rollover, as reflected against the S&P 500. So people are not making as much money in the companies. And, you know, one of the things, too, is that strong dollar. The strong dollar, I know it's been getting a little weaker lately, but it's still a very strong dollar in retrospect to what it's been just 4 years ago. The thing is that the strong dollar is actually hurting exports of American goods, and it's encouraging imports of foreign goods, which is basically whittling away at the roots of our underpinnings of our manufacturing system. It's like it's basically a cloaked evil that we don't really see that well. because it looks like we got more purchasing power with the dollar. But yes, that's true. But then on the same side, on the flip side, it's actually discouraging in our American industries in the long run. And, you know, one other thing, too, along with these commodity prices going down, which includes the silver, we have the oil prices that have been low. And we saw a number of oil rigs. There's been a steady decline of the closures of oil rigs. Actually, what I think is going to happen is now, since Russia's involved in the Middle East and Syria, and actually they're doing strikes against ISIS in Iraq. I don't know. The war can be much more widespread. Maybe it will interrupt oil supplies. I know they bombed the bridge in the Euphrates just so ISIS wouldn't be supplied in Iraq. You know, that was where their their supplies were coming through. Now, also, if you want to extend logic out a little further with that, and this can cause problems with the oil supply, which actually is all related to silver and gold, because I think when oil really starts moving up again, that's when you're going to see the silver and gold move up again. They all kind of semi-run together in correlation, even though it's not a perfect correlation. If oil takes a very hard bull run up, and you know what, we got everything now set in place where oil could take a very hard bull run up because of all the oil rigs that have closed in the United States and all the oil companies that have gone under in the United States because of, you know, the junk bonds that they had. So, you know, if we look at, you know, say Russia has a policy, maybe they want to stop ISIS from selling oil because ISIS is getting a lot of money through oil sales. Well, say they strike them at the heart right there, and they cut off, you know, refineries that ISIS is using to sell on the global market. Well, that would affect the global oil price. And as you know, if oil takes off very hard in a very hard bull run, oil and silver is not a very good correlation. But when oil takes off at a very hard bull run, as when it happened when the war was going on in Libya with Gaddafi, that's when we saw silver take off very hard too. It's not a good correlation, but it's a good correlation when oil takes a very hard bull run. But there is a fairly decent correlation at all times between oil and gold. It's not a perfect one, but it's a better correlation between oil and gold than oil and silver. But by that having some correlation between oil and gold, there is always a little bit of correlation between oil and silver, but there's always a good correlation between oil and silver when oil takes off in a very, very hard bull run. I think that Russia being interjected in the mix now with their military striking ISIS in Syria and now in Iraq, and also then blowing up a bridge on the Euphrates, I don't know what would be the next step to maybe cut off ISIS from their oil revenue, which would affect the global oil markets. And you know what? That would be in the Russian interest too, to have oil prices go up due to tensions in the Middle East. Would that not be in their interest? That is where they get most of their money from, right? So you can follow it step by step by step. It's sure taking a hell of a lot longer than I thought. But, you know, it's just like anything. You know, you got to be patient. It's almost like putting together a damn motorcycle. It's putting together the shovel head. You know, you got to be patient. It might take you 10 times longer than you think. But, you know, every step of the way that you're patient brings you closer to the completion of the process you want, and your ultimate goal is to make money on silver, money, serious money, and see the end of the rainbow, the pot at the end of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, just as the leprechauns, just like me, have been promising you. And actually, I'm hoping for this too, because I probably take some of that money and buy some land up in eastern Tennessee, up there in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where it's close to North Carolina. So anyway, I just want to say that, you know, be patient with this. And I'm looking at, they're really desperate right now. One of the things I really wanted to point out is, you know, they were talking about negative interest rates before with the central banks, but they never talked about negative interest rates with regular people's savings. Boy, that would really get you encouraged. Imagine a charge on your savings every month. You get a statement, and they take money out of your account because you're keeping it in your account. Would that not spur you on to spend money? And you know what people might be thinking is, well, why not just buy silver with that money too? If you're a real saver, would that not encourage silver sales? I think it would. If people freaking put two and two together, it would not necessarily encourage BS consumer sales. It may encourage the sales of taking that money that you have as cash assets and using it in something that is pretty liquid. Like, in other words, if you had, $50,000 or $100,000 in a bank and you're looking at a number going down due to negative interest rates, what you might be looking at is, hey, I don't want to be seeing that go down, but then again, I don't want to put it into real estate because real estate is too illiquid. So what could you really put your money into besides paper currency that's a hard asset that is actually very liquid? It would be silver. So it might actually, if they go to negative interest rates in Europe and that spreads to other parts of the world, I can almost guarantee you that's going to encourage silver sales quite a bit. And you like look at that and what's going on with Russia and Syria and how they're striking ISIS. I think all those tensions are going to start bringing up oil prices, and again, all that type of stuff should be bringing up silver. I know the markets are rigged. I know what's going on. I mean, they are rigged, but I think there's a limit to how much they can rig them. And as a matter of fact, I think that it could get out of hand too. I mean, sometimes the brightest and the best have failed. Sometimes, they paint themselves in a corner. Sometimes the smartest outsmart themselves. There's always the catch-22 or that situation they run into that if they move one way, that there's a problem. If they move another way, there's even a worse problem. And I think that's what's going to happen with the elite. I think the one big problem that we have is that most people that are too dependent upon government and too dependent upon looking to others to save their ass have an attitude that they cannot do the job themselves or do things on their own. And, the way to do that is just one step at a time. It could be anything. It could be fixing motorcycles. It could be sewing, for crying out loud. One thing I was talking about was a big advocate of cottage industry, whereas you're not even working as a small business, but you're working strictly out of your home and strictly for yourself. It does not matter what you're doing. You could be making tapestry. You could be making pottery. You could be making rocket stoves or something like that for the wintertime, or whatever you're doing. Or you could be a florist selling plants. Florist is actually a freaking smart thing, believe it or not. I like to put a lot of different ideas out there because, there's some people that have a mentality more geared towards mechanical and gearhead type things, and then there's other types of people that have a mentality towards growing things, which could be, it could be weed if it's legal in your state. That would be cool. But it could also just be a florist. A lot of women don't even think of that. How about that? Could you think about, hey, I want to sell these plants and grow them from nothing and sell them, and wow, I make a few bucks here and there. So a lot of people don't do it, though, because they don't have, they have no ambitions. And what the problem is? That's really what the problem always been. It's never been super easy in the United States. It's never been like, how do we get back to where we were? Well, the way we get back to where we were is you just roll up our sleeves and go right back to where we were. But you got to roll up your sleeves and do it. And after this video, I'm going to be out there working on my El Camino again. I was sidetracked a little bit yesterday, but I had to do other things. That's the problem, man. I wish I could just work in a car every day. Too many things going on. So anyway, just remember that they're trying to paint us a rosy picture about the economy. They're painting us, flowers and mushrooms and psychedelic picture of how things are great, and go buy the latest iPhone and how you can order a BMW or an Audi online with your iPhone, and that car is the best car in the world, and how you can traverse across the United States in 53 hours or 58 hours with a Tesla. Well, you know what? That's not reality for most people. That's just BS. That's all freaking marketing garbage. And actually, I would not even want to get into that realm of that world. I'd rather stay old school, simple, and down to earth. But, if you really want to believe in the psychedelic freaking garbage that the major media tries to paint and give us, you might as well grow your own mushrooms. That's the way I look at it, okay? So anyway, just want to freaking put some common sense out here and unravel the labyrinth of the snake that's got us wrapped all around us, how they're trying to strangle what we really know for real knowledge. And as always, I know that things have been taking way longer with silver. The markets have been going up a little bit. The silver market's been, the regular markets have been going up a little bit. Then the silver markets have been staying flat or going down a little bit. But I think overall the trend has been broken with the equities and the silver, where you're going to start seeing the silver go up. But you do have to remember this, that silver, when it takes off all at once, and you'll get most of the gains in the last 2 or 3 months. And it's going to be scary because it can go up really hard, then come down hard, then go way up again, or it can just go way up and then come down and not go up. So you're not going to get it perfect, but the thing is, you should make a lot of money if you are patient and look for your next move. So anyway, stay true to the faith. I think Russia is going to be helping us out because they do have an interest in keeping the commodities much higher. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't think I'm going to be too critical of Russia anymore because it's not that I'm a fan of Putin or anything, but I realize there's too many anti-American yo-yos out there, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, why should I be critical of Russia when you got these people freaking sticking up for Putin left and right? And, I'm just going to say, well, let it play out and let the ball bounce the way it bounces. And, if these people that love Putin, they love Russia, and we'll see how well he treats them, Also, I'm going to be concerned about is what's going on here in the good old USA and not worry about other places too much, to tell you the truth. And, I think we as a people here in the United States, we got all the natural resources and everything available to us to make our own economy run without anybody else. That is actually against the grain of the New World Order. They want to have everybody interdependent. But we, the people here in the United States, actually have the capability to make everything run here in the United States without any type of import of anything. And that's really the way it should be and the way it should go right back to. If you look back the way it was in the 50s, that's exactly how it was. That's exactly how it was back in the 50s. We actually did everything on our own over here. But you know what that required? The dirty four-letter word, work. You just can't sit on your ass and just wait for it to happen. So anyway, I'm going to be getting out there on my El Camino right now. So just keep faith, keep the faith. And again, negative interest rates, when they're talking about negative interest rates for common people savings accounts, that's telling you that, I'll tell you what, that's telling you the end is near. Because they have absolutely no way to stimulate the economy. They're trying to just get you to unload your bank account because, they just don't know how to freaking make people spend. People are not spending. So they're trying to force people to spend they're talking about negative interest rates. They haven't done it yet, but they're actually talking about negative interest rates for common account holders in Europe. And once that happens, it's going to spread. And to me, that just means people are going to be buying more. If they're savers, they're going to be buying more silver, and that's going to create a demand for silver. So anyway, keep the faith. Time is coming, and when it comes, it's going to hit all at once, to tell you the truth. As a matter of fact, like I said, every time with silver, what happens is all the gains happen near the end. That's going to be tricky, but even if you get it halfway up that curve and you sold, you're still going to make out like a fat rat.